Welcome back, Nikki Wesley, photographer with Metroland. Now, the newspapers in the region, there's lots going on simply because we're in election season, and now we are getting to know the candidates in the region.
That's right. So in all three papers around the region, we've got candidate introductions this week. Also new this year, we've picked up some citizen journalists. We've got 4 citizens, various walks of life, 2 men, 2 women, 1 senior, 1 student, and they're all going to be coming onto Inside Halton and speaking about their personal points of view as we go through the candidates. So that's going to be something new and interesting on Inside Halton this year.
And that's very cool because we're about 3 weeks away from E-Day, October 21st. So checking out the newspapers is a great way to inform yourself about who you want to vote for.
Absolutely.
And another thing in politics that's been catching the eye of the news especially are the climate strikes that we've been seeing all over the world. But what's happening here in the region that's a little bit different?
Right. So again, in all the papers this week, we've got climate strike coverage from in front of City Hall. But something that was a little bit different was Burlington High School Assumption. They actually held a climate rally. So instead of going to the politicians and saying, you know, hey, fix this, they started to educate. And here you see one of the students started to educate their own students, their own peers, on some of the things that they could be doing, that they can be influencing their homes. So for example, you saw that first young lady holding up the Fruitopia recyclable carton, pointing to the recycling number. Now, not all plastics are recyclable, and that's indicated by the number. So, you know, and not all the students knew that. Now they do.
Well, I mean, I didn't even know that. So this is very good. You're informing me just as much as you're informing everyone else, and those students are informing everybody else.
Absolutely.
And now we have to put a bow on this with something a little bit sad, but still hopeful. It's goodbye to Deputy Chief Nish.
Yes.
We're going to miss Deputy Chief Nish Turiapa. Trying to keep you humble over there, Nish, while you go over to Peel Region.
Yes, so Nish was just inducted as Chief of Police in Peel this week, and we just sort of did a little catch up with him, and I thought this was a wonderful example of his personality, of his character. We asked him if there was a single moment in his early years in law enforcement that made a major impact. And he said, yes, with certainty, there was 4 or 5 years into my career in policing, I actually questioned, is this the job for me? Wondering if it had met my initial expectations. A best friend, who now happens to be the other Halton deputy, Roger Wilkie, at the time opened my mind to finding more to my job than just doing what's required. What I discovered can apply to all occupations. We have a choice to make the most of what's possible within our careers, or we can be satisfied with the status quo. We need to find something greater about what we do than just sliding by. For me, that was the spark I needed to dig deeper into my career. And I mean, you've met him, I've met him, he really does, he gives that extra 150%.
Oh yes, and I'll never forget the times that I've gotten to interview him. I mean, there was one time, the very first time I got to meet Nish, I was in his office doing an interview, and I think my camera fell off my tripod. I caught it, but the plate was broken. So he actually did everything he could. He was gonna find duct tape, he was gonna find cables, he was gonna figure it out for me because that's the kind of guy he is.
Yes.
And last week when I was at the Ride to Remember at Police HQ, I got a chance to talk to Roger Wilkie, the other deputy chief there, and one of his best friends. And he says they're so happy for him. He's going to miss him, but he's going to be able to see him on the weekend. So we wish him well. We won't be able to see Nish as often, but we know he will do amazingly as the Chief of Police in Peel.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Nikki, and we can't wait to see you next week.
Thanks.